I want to thank you for helping me escape. I owe you my life. Wait. Something for your troubles. I was told New Hampshire was the best place to go to if you wanted your freedom. I sure hope so. I don't want to go back to where I came from. The president's house on High Street in Philadelphia. Let alone Mount Vernon in Fairfax County, Virginia. My name is Ona Judge, but I am called Oni. Just promise me, you won't tell anyone you've seen me. And as for the captain who helped me, I shall never say his name until after his death, lest they should punish him for bringing me away. It's been a few days since I left. Oh, and I'm sure there are now runaway ads all over Philadelphia requesting my capture. The Washingtons, they'll stop at nothing to find me, I'm sure of it. It'll only be a matter of time before... No, I spoke too soon. There's one right here. I've seen these before. Madam, I cannot read. So, if you could, would you mind reading this for me?
Sure. $10 reward. Absconded from the household of the President of the United States on Saturday afternoon. Ona Judge, a light mulatto girl, much freckled with very black eyes and bushy black hair. She is of middle stature, but slender and delicately made, about 20 years of age. She has many changes of very good clothes of all sorts, but they are not sufficiently recollected to describe. As there was no suspicion of her going off, and it happened without the least provocation, it is not easy to conjecture whither she is gone, or fully what her design is, but she may attempt to escape by water. All matters of vessels and others are cautioned against receiving her on board, although she may and probably will endeavor to pass for a free woman, and, it is said, has wherewithal to pay her passage. $10 will be paid to any person, white or black, who will bring her home, if taken in the city or on board any vessel in the harbor, and a further reasonable sum if apprehended and brought home from a greater distance and in proportion to the distance. Fred Kit Stewart, May 24th, 1796.
Thank you. $10. Well, this confirms it. Oh, I'm in for it now. Now all of Philadelphia and beyond are looking for me. For Ona Judge. What am I going to do? Oh, God. I know what I'll do. This. The Ona Judge, the Washingtons knew is gone. She is no more. I am my own woman now. I am free. That felt so good to do that. I can only imagine what life would be like for me now that I am free. For starters, I'll finally have some privacy. To be able to just sit for longer than a minute without having to get up and tend to my mistress's needs. To talk amongst friends and family, and not worry about having to be overheard. To be able to learn to read and write. To get married and start my own family. And my children, my children would be free. Can you imagine that? Oh, these are the things I've often thought of for the many, many years that I have been a slave. And I am but 20 years old. Now, will I miss working for Lady Washington? Well, I'm sure there's still a small spot in my heart for her and her family. I mean, after all, I was born and raised at Mount Vernon. I was raised to be a seamstress, just like my mama, Betty. And my papa, Andrew Judge, why, he was one of the best indentured tailors to ever sew one of Massa Washington's good suits. We were a family of sewers. But by the time I turned 16, Lady Washington appointed me to be her lady's maid, her personal servant for when she became the president's consort of these United States. This meant I had to work awfully close with her. I helped her get dressed in the morning and in the evenings. I dressed her hair, I did her makeup, I put the buckles on her shoes, I even cleaned out her chamber pot. But I also attended social functions with her, and even ran a few errands for her here and there. I was very close to her grandchildren, though it wasn't my job to look after them, of course. That was Moll's job. Moll was the other slave that lived and worked with us at the president's house. But they were like an extension to my own family that I'm gonna miss very much back at home. Like Mama and my sister Delphi. My sister Charlotte and her children. And my brother, Austin. Oh, Austin. I'm never gonna see my family again. Ever. And I'm going to miss them very much. But do I have any regrets for running away? For trading my family for my freedom? No, I don't. Because I am free and have been, I trust, been made a child of God by the means. Besides, I don't belong to the Washingtons anyway. I belong to the Custis estate. You see, my family and many others are what are called dower slaves. This was back when Lady Washington married her first husband, Mr. Daniel Park Custis. But when he died, well, he died suddenly. He left no last will and testament. So only a portion, 1/3, I believe, of his property went to his widow. 157 of us, slaves included. But when she remarried, all 157 of us moved with her to Mount Vernon. But when she dies, we are not to be freed. No, we are to be divided up amongst the remaining Custis heirs. And then when they die, we go on to the next heir. And then the next, and 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 by then none of us would be free. Can you imagine that? To be passed along as mere hand-me-downs. I can only imagine how frustrated the president must be knowing that he's gonna have to pay back the Custis estate for my disappearance. And let me say this. He does not own me. And frankly, neither does Lady Washington. Neither of them can own me, or sell me, or even free me. I am but Custis' property. And with that in mind, I had to leave. I had a choice to make, and I had to make it fast. It was either to stay enslaved and be given away as a wedding present to Lady Washington's granddaughter, Eliza. And not Nellie like I hoped. Or to be free and own my own self. I will tell you this, I am determined to never be her slave. The nerve. You're probably wondering, asking me, but Ona, didn't the Washingtons treat you well? Weren't they kind to you? Well, of course they did. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I was given very special privileges back at New York and in Philadelphia that I would have never had back home at Mount Vernon. I was even gifted these beautiful clothes and even given a few things here and there. Even money. I remember not too long ago, I believe it was back in February, when Master Washington had given me and several other slaves with $1 each. I believe it was in celebration of his birthday. Oh, with that $1 I could do anything I wanted. And on some days we even be permitted to go to the theater. Oh, I remember seeing the circus a few times. And when I would go back home to Mount Vernon, oh, I would tell my family all the wonderful things that I have seen. I would tell my family about these tumbling feats, these talented men and women doing all sorts of somersaults and twirls. I had never seen anything like it before in my life. I even showed all my things that I brought back from Philadelphia to my family. I even showed my family this wonderful thing here, this bonnet that I got from Philadelphia. I even given my mama these beautiful pair of earrings. Something she's never had for herself. Ever. My mama was mightily grateful to ever have such a precious gem like these. But she declined because they were too precious for her to wear. I'm gonna have to sell these in order to make a living out here. You know, come to think of it, we've traveled. We've traveled and visited home quite a lot. Yes. Just when I thought I was getting used to the idea of living and working in Philadelphia, we pack up and go right back home. And we do this every 6 months. Strange, isn't it? I remember Hercules, Washington's prize cook. He said something in the kitchen a couple of days ago about a law in Philadelphia that stated that any slave that lived and worked within the city limits for longer than 6 months, they'd be given the freedom or the manumission. With that in mind, I have a strong feeling that the Washingtons really had no intention of letting their little Oni go. So, a couple of nights ago, whilst they were packing to go back home to Virginia, I too was packing. I didn't know where, but I knew that if I were to stay in Virginia, I shall never have my liberty. So that very night, whilst they were having dinner, I snuck out the back and made my way to the docks. Now, I didn't do this on my own, mind you. No. I had help in the free Negro community. You see, with their help, they were able to guide me and tell me which state was the best and safest place to go for a fugitive like me. It was then where I met the captain, John Bowles. I did say I wasn't going to say his name, didn't I? Promise me you're not going to repeat that. Well, with his help, he allowed me to board his ship called the Nancy and make my way to freedom. But now that I'm here in New Hampshire, I have to figure out a way to make a living out here. Where am I going to work? Where am I going to live? I could hire myself out as a seamstress. I mean, after all, I did a lot of sewing, and I was one of the best CEO. No, I can't do that. But being one of Lady Washington's best seamstresses, I could give myself away. I have to think of something else. Something that won't give me away, something inconspicuous. I could hire myself out as a domestic. Yes. I mean, I can clean, I can, of course, sew, and I'd be getting paid for it. Plus room and board. That's a perfect plan. And I would be free. Most importantly, I'm not above doing hard labor. I would be free. I would choose that over slavery any day. And it would be my choice. I think this is where I'm going to leave you. So, wish me luck. And remember, you didn't see me.